A lesbian couple in Chicago is suing the Midwest Sperm Bank after the sperm bank allegedly got sperm samples wrong and gave them the wrong sperm in order for one of them to get pregnant. Now, the woman who got pregnant is Jennifer Cramblett, and the reason why she's upset and the reason why she's suing for a minimum of $50,000 is because she found out that although she wanted a white individual sperm, she received a black individual sperm and as a result had a black daughter. Now she says that this has led to many issues for her because she lives in a predominantly white area where discrimination is very common, according to her words. And she also says that it's difficult for her to take care of her own daughter because she has to travel outside of her white bubble and go to black neighborhoods to get her child's haircut. In fact, I don't want to put words in her mouth. Let me read you her exact quote. She says, "Getting a young daughter's haircut is not particularly stressful for most mothers, but to Jennifer, it is not a routine matter because Peyton has hair typical of an African-American girl. To get a decent cut, Jennifer must travel to a black neighborhood far from where she lives, where she is obviously different in appearance and not overtly welcome." So those are the details of the story. I think it's kind of clear what my feelings are about this, especially because this is a very public lawsuit and you've already had a daughter that you're admitting to the world is an accident. But I do want to know what you guys think. Francis, let me start with you. Make your point.
This is a clear example of racial reification. It's just a social term. It just shows how racism and racial discrimination is taught. And this is just from a mother who's been given the gift of having a child, she's basically reifying the problem that is in society, that she thinks it's a burden for her daughter to be black or to have black. Sorry, scrap that. It's racial reification for her daughter to be black because she is talking about how troublesome it is to go and get a haircut. Mm-hmm. That's like, you're talking about a minor issue, but she's making it seem as if it's something so public, and then she goes on to elaborate on how it's going to hinder her in education terms and stuff like that. It's just, it shows how taught this sort of racial discrimination issue is, especially in the US.
So I should note that the sperm bank did return all the money that the lesbian couple invested in order to get the sperm, okay? But that was it. They refunded the couple, okay? So that's an important detail. With that said, Andy, make your point.
Yeah, it sounds like this isn't really, the issue is not that they gave her the wrong kid. It's that she's having a hard time coming to grips with the fact that like this makes her very different, which is kind of surprising because I think that, you know, though I've been called a lesbian, I'm not actually one, but I imagine that somebody, you know, who over the course of history might have, or her history of existence might have experienced a lot of discrimination, would also sort of throw that back. Yeah. And I think that that's kind of curious. And I don't know if the lawyers thought maybe they were idiots, or maybe they were lawyers. Mm-hmm. They thought that by putting that information in there, that can you make it more about the fact that they gave her the wrong kid, yep, and not about like, okay, or now
how much of a burden it is to have a black child.
It just seems like that's a really poor strategy,
yeah, so,
if anything.
So I feel like everyone is guilty in this story, okay? First of all, the sperm bank did mess up and they should do everything possible to settle out of court. That way, the details of this lawsuit do not exist forever on the internet where this 2-year-old girl who is adorable will grow up and find out that she was a mistake and that she was unwanted and she was seen as some sort of burden, okay? Mm-hmm. The sperm bank was in the wrong, but nonetheless, you made the decision to have the baby. They found out that they were pregnant with the wrong sperm early on, okay? They should not make this public and make it seem as though this kid is something to be ashamed of, okay? It makes me so sick to my stomach and so sad for that adorable little girl. But I want to know what you guys feel about this question, okay? It's related to the story. What is something that embarrassingly gives you anxiety? Let me start with you, Andy.
I don't want to take away anything from the OCD people out there, but I would say pretty borderline. I'm not diagnosed, but you know what really annoys me is well, YouTube commenters, first of all. No,
don't tell
pretty
them
much,
that.
pretty much
they know vulnerability now.
Every single time that I feel like I have to, I always need to know, and it's kind of what we were talking about earlier, off camera. Phones, checking your phone all the time, and I have such anxiety about like missing an email, missing a phone call, missing a text message that I think that it's debilitating for me. Yeah. Missing one of those YouTube comments.
I'm definitely addicted to my smartphone. Yeah. I can't leave it anywhere. It has to be right by me at all times, even though the producers ask me to like leave it in another room because it messes up our mics. I just have to have it by me.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Francis, what about you?
I feel like so shallow going from this huge issue and now talking about my anxiety point, which I was telling Dave before. It's kind of embarrassing. It's like like, I can't see creased shirts. I'm kind of borderline OCD in times. If I see someone with a creased shirt, I'm automatically picturing myself ironing their shirt for them. And that's, I mean, I don't want to make people uncomfortable.
It's shampoo.
It's an issue.
I'm looking around to see if there's any creased shirts in the building.
You mean wrinkled, right?
When I said,
like,
yeah,
that's what
creased, that's what we say.
in America we say wrinkled.
I bet I'll get my vocabulary right. So when I was telling Dave about it, the first thing I felt bad because he was like looking at his own shirt and trying to get an image of it and trying to see if it was there.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that's embarrassing for me, and I feel very egocentric and shallow saying it, but it's just something I've got an issue with.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have anxiety about something that I think a lot of people have anxiety about. I would say marriage. You know, like, I'm at that age where everyone around me is getting married, and that gives me anxiety because it makes me reflect on my life and how I'm not engaged, how I'm nowhere near getting engaged, and I'm comfortable with that. But at the same time, it's like, oh my God, it's going to happen at some point. Am I ever going to be ready for it? Am I ever going to want it? Do I want kids? So any big life decision that's not related to my career gives me anxiety, right? I like to just hone in on work and focus on work and ignore everything else. So that's where I get my anxiety from. Where do you get your anxiety from? Share in the comments section below. Tell us what you think about this story. Do you think that the lesbian couple that's suing is in the wrong? Do you think that they're justified in doing what they're doing? We want to hear your thoughts, so please share in the comments section below, and we'll see you guys soon.